What did you think of the pitch that they were making?
Honestly, I thought both of them did a really good job. I think we saw vision and a real sense of purpose from both Mr. Scalise and Mr. Jordan.
But you haven't made it. What are you weighing? What are you torn about?
I want to make sure that we've got a real plan to put downward pressure on spending. That's what's brought us to this point, and I really want to see that we're on a path to better fiscal policy.
What do you hear in there from some of the members who they've been talking about wanting some sort of retaliation against yourself and the others who voted against McCarthy? Was there discussion of that in that meeting?
I didn't pay much attention to that.
Did you ask any questions inside the room?
I did.
What did you ask about?
I don't believe I said.
What was that?
I don't believe I said.
Would you mind talking about what you asked?
Oh yeah, I'll probably leave that for in there.
Congressman, do you like Jordan's proposal for a long-term CR which would trigger the 1% cut and put pressure on Congress, especially the appropriators, to come to the table and come with that?
So it's all about what gets us to single subject spending bills. That's what I'm for. I don't believe we should govern by continuing resolution, and the history that we've seen is that continuing resolutions often beget other continuing resolutions. What Mr. Jordan has proposed, he believes will get us to those single subject spending bills. I think Jim Jordan wants to govern by single subject spending bills. I don't believe he wants to govern by continuing resolution, but how that'll fit together tactically will weigh heavily on my decision.
But you're open.
Say about that, though, approaching the November 17th.
Yeah, I mean, I heard Leader Scalise really talk about the need to put pressure on the Senate to take up our bills. Steve Scalise has encyclopedic knowledge of what is in the legislation we've passed to fund more than 70% of the government, and he laid out both in this forum and in a meeting earlier today with the Florida delegation how he would put pressure on the Senate to take up those bills. Specifically, Mr. Scalise said that he'd put pressure on them to take up our Department of State and Foreign Operations bill because that's where we've got a lot of money for the Iron Dome. And we think that, the Senate should be financially supporting that Iron Dome, and the best way to do that is to take up our state and foreign ops bill.
But you're open to a clean CR as proposed by Jim Jordan after kicking out Kevin McCarthy for essentially doing the same thing?
I didn't say that. I said I'm against governing by CR. And I believe that Jim Jordan wants to put as much pressure on the Senate as possible to get them to act on our single subject bills.
Didn't McCarthy say the same thing?
No. I don't believe that Kevin McCarthy ever wanted to do single subject spending bills. And the best evidence I have for that is that we went on a 6-week vacation without doing that. Right? If Kevin McCarthy was serious about doing the single subject spending bills, we would not have taken an August recess. Here, we've got a different shot clock because we have tens of days left before the government runs out of money. So I don't know that you can apply the McCarthy analysis to either Scalise or Jordan. I don't want to govern by continuing resolution for a day, and I think that we've got other ways to put pressure on the Senate.
Congressman, you have committed to...
I'm sorry, you asked some questions.
Congressman Gaetz, today, I know you were at the Florida delegation meeting. There were 7 members who did not attend today's meeting, I heard. What are your thoughts on that?
I enjoyed the discussion with Leader Scalise and with Chairman Jordan. They answered questions that were really keen to the minds of Floridians about offshore oil drilling, about immigration, about our agriculture policies, and about our unique Medicare and Medicaid populations in Florida. That's really what that discussion centered around.
So back on a CR. So say we do have Speaker Scalise or Speaker Jordan, and you say you don't want to govern by CR and the motion to vacate threshold is still at one lawmaker. If they do put forward a clean CR, are you open to filing another motion to vacate?
Well, just like I don't want to govern by continuing resolution, I don't want to govern by motion to vacate. There was not one reason why Kevin McCarthy faced a motion to vacate. There was a general loss of trust because there were repeated instances of breach of the agreement that McCarthy had made in January. So I think you mischaracterize sort of the basis for the McCarthy removal. It was considerably broader than you would characterize it.
George Santos tonight.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
You've committed to supporting either Scalise or Jordan, whichever one gets the majority support of the conference. Did those two commit to doing the same in the meeting today?
I don't recall that having come up.
George Santos tonight got hit with another indictment, 23 total charges. Now, do you think he should resign?
I haven't had a chance to review the indictment. We were locked away from our phones for several hours, so it'll be something I'm sure we all take a look at.
Apologies if you've already weighed in on this, but the rules changed to increase the threshold to send the nominee to the floor to 217. Where do you stand on that?
I don't think it's really relevant. I know a lot of people in this building are pretty focused on that right now. I think that would be a lot more dispositive on the outcome if you had like a 5 or 7 person race. In a world in which only 2 people are running for speaker, it's going to be pretty clear who has the most support. And once it's clear who of the 2 has the most support, I think there's going to be a tremendous amount of pressure to coalesce around that candidate.
Congressman, in the past you've been opposed to Ukraine funding. I understand that neither of them ruled out funding for Ukraine. What was your sense of their answers, and do you think that this House will ultimately fund Ukraine, given that the majority of the House supported it, even though in the last vote it was a minority of Republicans?
Yeah, a majority of the majority does not support additional financial assistance to Ukraine. The last time we took a clean vote on Ukraine funding, there were 101 Republicans who voted yes, there were 117 Republicans who voted no. So the only way anyone as Speaker would be able to continue funding Ukraine is if they wanted to roll a majority of the majority. Both of them said they did not want to do that. So I think that, the Congress has been the lagging indicator on this issue. I think our voters have been well out in front of us when it comes to the viewpoints on Ukraine, and I don't imagine that either of these folks are going to be, wrapping themselves in the Ukrainian flag and the same manner in which the prior speaker did.
Great. Thanks for your time.
You think we'll have a speaker tomorrow?
I think so.
Really?
You really think we'll have a speaker tomorrow? I do. I think we will. Is there anything in that meeting that made you more or less confident?